Hello, good morning. Myself Reshma welcomes you again to my second session in DBMS. So today, so I'm going to discuss with you the main characteristics of the database approach. So in database, there are mainly four very important characteristics. So the database system has a special nature of describing by itself, that is, it has a self-describing nature. The second characteristic is it provides insulation between programs and data. It also helps in data abstraction. Then the next characteristic is in database it supports multiple views of the data. And finally, and another important characteristic of database approach is it supports sharing of the data, and multiple users can perform transaction at the same time. So that is sharing of data and multi-user transaction processing. So these are the four very important characteristics of database approach. So we'll see one by one. So it begins with self-describing nature of database system. So how it will describe by itself. So as we have seen, as we know, and we'll study in detail later also, so database system, it contains not only the database itself, but it also gives us the complete definition or description of the database structure and the constraints. For example, if I design a student database, it not only gives the details of the students, but it also describes in detail what are each attributes for the student, like name, USN, semester, branch, which course he is selecting. Then for each of the property of the student, it will also describe the structure, like name, what should be the data type for the name, what should be data type for USN, data type of birth date, data type for branch, semester. Then it will also describe the constraints which we can apply for the database. Like for student database, name should be maximum of some 30 characters. USN should be some 10 characters. Semester must be between 1 and 8. If you are giving the date of birth, date must be 1 to 31 based on the number of months, based on the which month they are using. Month should be between 1 and 12. So like this, the database, it not only gives the information, but it also describes itself. If I have entered the value like name, USN, semester, then it indicates the student with the particular name is having this USN, who belongs to this particular department, who is studying in this semester in this college. So like this, there is a relationship between each and every data, so that will be described by the database. So the database will be describing itself. Then the details which are stored in the database, as it describes itself, as it will be giving the complete structure of the data. So here the data contains that data inside. So this is referred to as the metadata, or the information stored in the catalog is also referred to as here metadata. And nowadays we are having a special type of the systems like NoSQL system. And here the NoSQL system, they do not require metadata also. In the absence of metadata also, So they will describe the data. So that is the new type of systems like NoSQL system, they do not require metadata, so but rather the data is stored as self-describing data also. So like this, the different database systems, they try to explain themselves, they try to describe themselves in different ways. So this is a special feature of database system, that is self-describing nature. The next characteristics is providing insulation between programs and data and the data abstraction. So now, to support program and data insulation, so data abstraction, it takes very important role. So I think we already know. So the data abstraction means which hides the details, in-depth details or the physical storage of the data. It will highlight only the important characteristics. The overall structure will be described, but it will not tell in detail the exact storage. So that it will just provide the conceptual representation in the form of the data model. So now with the help of this data abstraction, so it will provide the two type of insulation between programs and data. First one is program data independence, and next the program operation independence. In program data independence, so if we consider the traditional file system, so there the structure of the data file is embedded in the application program. That is, application program itself will have the structure of the data file. So if we try to change the structure of a file, then we need to change, the change should be done, it should also reflect in all the programs that access that file. So that is, if you change the structure of a file, then the programs which are using those files must also require some change. This is in case of traditional file system. So, but if we go for database management system, here the program, they do not require such changes. So because the structure of data files is stored separately in the catalog, not directly connected with the programs which access those files. So we can do any modifications to the structure of the database, structure of the data files without any changes in the program. So that is, here the data in the files is independent of the program. So that like this, there is an independence between the program and the data. So means the changes in the data should not require programs also to apply those changes. So there is a complete independence between the program and the data. So then next we have program and operation independence. So that again there is a complete independence between the programs and the operations. So because we know, as we know, the program, like that is a function or a method, it can be specified in two parts. So first one like interface or the signature, which include only operation name and data types. Then the implementation of the method will be specified separately. So then, as the name and data types are placed separately, and the implementation method is also defined separately, so we can change without affecting the interface. We can change the program without affecting the interface. So like this, we can have a database. It provides both program operation independence and program data independence. About these two independences, we'll study in detail with some specific example in the coming sessions. So while discussing the three-tier architecture. So then third characteristic of database approach is, so database, it support a special feature called supporting multiple views of the data. So means a database can have many types of users, and each user may require different perspective. Each user may have different view of the database. Database is single. We can have n number of users. Each user can view the database in his own perspective. So for the database, we can create n number of views. That is, the each view can be a subset of the database. So means it contains some virtual data that is derived from the database files. But these views, they are not stored explicitly. They are not having any physical storage. Just for the purpose or viewing purpose of the users, where the database, it will provide multiple views. So that is, on a single database, if you are having multiple different varieties of distinct applications, so then this multiple view concept will be helpful. For example, if you take a banking database, so there are different views or different users, maybe the manager of the bank, then accountant, the cashier. If you take account holder, again the account holder, he may be making use of internet banking, he may be making use of the debit card, credit card. So now here, for the single banking database, there are n number of users. Each user can view the database in their own perspective. Then we can't create n number of databases, n number of physical storages. The data will be stored in a single location, but we can extract different type of information and we can create the views. N number of multiple views can be created, and those views can be produced towards each user. So this is a very special property of a database. So the next property is sharing of data and allowing multiple users for processing the transaction. So it is a multi-user database. It allows multiple users to access the database at the same time. For example, if you are having air ticket reservation or railway ticket reservation, online movie ticket reservation. So now here, as it allows multiple users to access the database, at the same time, n number of users may be trying to book a ticket of a movie or for a railway reservation. So it means, so multiple users can access the database at the same time. Even though it allows multiple users to access the database at the same time, it still maintain the consistency. So for that, it will include some concurrency control algorithms, so that this concurrency control algorithm, they make ensure that the several users which are trying to update the data at the same time by maintaining the consistency. So then again, to maintain this concurrency control, to avoid the inconsistency, to avoid the redundancy, so it will provide some ACID properties, that is atomic properties. So atomic property ensure that either all the database operations are executed or none. So again, in the final sessions, we'll study about the different ACID properties, so that it will maintain the it will control the concurrency and it will avoid inconsistency in the data. So these are the four very important characteristics of the database management system. And the exact meaning and working of these characteristics will be clearly understood. So once we'll go through the different topics and once we'll go to the hands-on session, real-time examples, the working of these database components in the coming session. So then these four characteristics will be very clearly understood. So then next, the history of the database. So actually the database, it begins in 1916, then by Charles Bachman. So like then the database has been refined. So based on the requirements, like in the 1970s, we code introduced IBM's Information Management System (IMS). Then by 76, ER diagram model was defined. Then by 80, relational model becomes a widely accepted database component. Then by 85, object-oriented DBMS was developed. Then by 90s, object orientation in relational database management system was incorporated. By 91, a personal DBMS and which displays all other personal DBMS products were developed. Then by 95, first internet database applications was developed. So then after 97, different features of XML got incorporated into DBMS projects. And after 97, so we know what are the major changes in the DBMS. Then after knowing the characteristics, so now here I will highlight some of the advantages of the DBMS. So the first advantage is it provides variety of techniques to store and retrieve the data. So we'll see later which are these different storage and retrieving techniques. And we know, so it will provide multiple users to access the data at the same time. And it will provide data abstraction, that is, it will hide the details of the data representation and the storage. It also provides data integrity and security. It allows only the authorized users to access the data. Then it reduces application development time. So these are some of the advantages. And once we start learning different concepts, so we'll find out so many more advantages of DBMS. Once I complete the course of DBMS, so the users or the learners can give me a very long list of the advantages of DBMS. So if you go for the disadvantages, so the hardware and software of DBMS is quite high. So we can say this is a costly, so which will increase the budget of the organization. And to maintaining this DBMS is very complex. And if you are having very complex DBMS systems, then we need to give additional training for the users. So then again, so in some organization, as all data is integrated into a single database, if it get damaged because of some catastrophic failures or electric failures, the complete database may be corrupted. And then use of same program at a time by many users sometimes lead to the loss of some data. And it cannot perform some sophisticated calculations too. So these are some of the disadvantages. So then now we have learned some advantages, disadvantages. But even though it gives many advantages, sometimes we should not use this DBMS. When we should not go for the database, when we have to go with our traditional file system itself. So now if you are not having a sufficient budget, then instead of going with DBMS, we can continue with the traditional file system. And as we know, for the complex database systems, we need experts, or we need to give the trainings. So if we do not have expertise to operate the DBMS, better we should not go with the DBMS. And sometimes just by making use of traditional file systems, if it is possible to manage the work, So just we can continue with those Excel or flat files. So instead of going for the expensive complex database management system. So this is about